Hi guys! So I wanted to hop on and just talk about my comic just a little bit, kind of like explaining the basic like concept and idea behind it. So it's like a superhero slice of life, but the main purpose of it is to kind of deconstruct and reconstruct spirituality. I personally feel like a lot of people these days have a pretty rough relationship with their spirituality. Especially I feel like there's been a lot of people who have taken the concept of Christianity and kind of twisted it in a very dark way in order to fit their own like agendas. And that's kind of something that I'm like dealing with and kind of critiquing in this comic. I feel like a lot of people who have grown up, at least in like Western societies, especially in like Christian societies, have been kind of like raised with or been hurt by some ideals that people have pushed on them, with Christianity as their excuse for doing so. And so that's kind of something that I'm addressing with this, with like all of the characters have like a slightly different perspective, and they have like their own different nuanced approach. Obviously, like I can't take it from every single perspective. Like I grew up LDS, so this is coming from like a deconstructed, reconstructed LDS viewpoint. I do consider myself to be liberal. Yes, that is possible. And so I would hope that that would help you understand how I kind of approach the topic of God and spirituality as a whole. So I guess I can kind of like introduce the characters a little bit. So first off, we have Nyla. She was born and raised a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or LDS. And she was raised with the idea that a lot of us are raised with, that as a woman, your body is something to be hidden, something to be ashamed of. And if like a man ogles you, that's your fault. And her her desires, you know, like her cardinal desires are evil and sinful basically, and her wrestling with that's kind of like her whole thing. Melissa, she's also LDS, but she's dealing with like prejudice from members of the church because well, my experience was I came from a divorced set of parents, and so I received a lot of prejudice that way. And for her, like, she's dealing with the trauma of the death of one of her parents, and members not really being accepting of that, being very mean towards her. And then we've got Charlotte. She's kind of like your midnight mass Catholic. She doesn't really understand like the need to go to church, but she does believe in God and everything. But she's also dealing with the question of, if God is real and cares about me, why did he let me go through this really hard, scary, terrible thing? And then there's Laura. She was raised Jewish, in a very controlling household. Not that I'm saying like Jewish households are controlling. Her parents just decided to be extremely controlling, and very conservative, and she's kind of like breaking through those beliefs that she was raised with, and learning how to essentially grow her own backbone and be her own person. And then we've got Luke. Luke's been raised in like an anti-religious, very atheist household, and so that's kind of how like his thought process is, and he just doesn't understand why religion is important to people, and so he kind of like, he's just confused about that. And then Skylar, she's dealt with a lot of religious trauma because she grew up in a very harsh religion, I guess is a good way of putting it. I don't know. But so she's still dealing with that religious trauma, and so even though she's agnostic, she believes that there's a God, she refuses to have anything to do with organized religion as a result. But yeah, anyways, if that sounds interesting to you, look me up on webtoons or Tapas, under Guardians 5 by Pirate the Fool. All right, have a great day. Okay, bye.